Welcome back to another episode of the Hobby Chop Podcast. You got me, Big Ken. We got Tyler and Zip in the house. Fellas, how you doing?
How's it going, Ken? What up, Tyler?
Doing well. What's up, gentlemen?
Big week this week. Biggest week of the year, right? I talked about on my hobby podcast, the Hobby New Year, right? We have the NFL draft coming up this week. It's I don't want to say out with the old because we're still just opening up football product, right? And we're going to talk about some of that today, but definitely a new group coming into prospect.
The bad thing is I don't think I'm excited about anybody.
I'm still excited for the draft.
I wish somebody in the draft excited me more, but I don't know. It's a weird for me.
Yeah.
I was listening to something on the radio today, and they said, this is how excited I am. If Cam Ward was in last year's draft, he'd have been like the 12th quarterback coming off the board, right? And they said similar to Shedeur Sanders and Jackson Dart, which reminds me of the 2022 draft, right?
Yeah, it's just going to be so weird because like everybody's going to be reaching for quarterbacks that don't belong, and then some players that are going to be really good in this draft probably are going to get taken by teams that should have no business taking them.
Yeah, and I feel like there's just not like many hobby relevant players, but like also you have like weird things like Shedeur and Travis Hunter are Panini exclusives now. So we thought we're out of the woods on, the licensed and auto conundrum that we've been experiencing, but nope. It is here again. So two of the main names in the draft were not going to be getting licensed autos, right? Unless I'm missing something.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. Is it again? Excited. I mean, obviously NFL draft's awesome, and it does kick it off, and means we're getting closer to the season. But like when you look at the big boards and you see like Cam Ward's like the 12th ranked overall player, and Shedeur Sanders is like in the 30s, and you're like, they're going to go at the top of the draft, and it just makes you kind of shake your head a little bit. But
it's also too like the teams that take them with those projections. I mean, I feel like it's not crazy to say these are not guys that are going to put you into like the playoff contention, even if you're drafting them like up in the beginning of this draft. So for me, it's like if I'm one of those teams and I know how loaded the QB class is next year, why am I even taking them? Like actually, because if they do anything, they create a problem next year. You're picking at the top, if not close to the top again, and God forbid you take a quarterback because you just took one, because then it creates all this crap that happens, right? And then if you pass on them and you take one of like these studs, like for example, if I'm Tennessee and I take Abdul Carter instead, and then obviously like he's not going to be enough to get me anywhere, but then I'm like top 3 again next year. Why wouldn't you do that? Like I just don't get that. I don't. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like my Dolphins, we're stuck in mediocrity and we have Tua. So we're never going to be bad enough to draft like a stud.
Yeah, but a team like the Dolphins is going to throw a dart in like the 3rd or 4th round, right? They're going to go out. They'll burn one of those picks, maybe even later. They'll burn one of those picks. They'll get a quarterback in and say, "Hey, let's hope for the best." I mean, look at Brock Purdy. You have no idea, when we were going into the 2022 draft, nobody even knew who Brock Purdy was, right? He was the very last person picked in the draft. So there could be a couple of those, diamonds in the rough sitting in that draft that we have no clue that they just may end up in a perfect situation and do really well. But we're really here to talk about the hobby, right?
Yep.
What does this draft do to the hobby? Like I can't imagine what breaks are going to look like next year unless one of these quarterbacks gets drafted, starts, and plays well.
That's what I'm looking for is my Brock 2025 Brock Purdy already.
Tops better be like just loading up on better vet autos than they have in their products now to push whatever product is coming out. Because
I don't want to hear it. I don't want any more vet. Like,
no.
give
I'm
me,
saying
like-
like have good vets, like have like the good quarterbacks that are still relevant. Have Lamar, Josh Allen, Jordan Love, Herbert.
You don't
have
want a
these
Brock
guys.
Lesnar auto?
I mean, that actually would not be as bad. If you a Brock Lesnar, that actually wouldn't be that bad.
I mean, I'd rather have a Brock Lesnar auto than like a Jalen Milrow auto.
Oh wow, okay. Damn.
I can't. I just can't take another year of these super old people that haven't played football in 30 or 40 years coming up with autos in these products. It's
Yeah, it's just it puts it in a weird spot, and then it's just like I guess like for breakers and openings. Like if you think about that aspect of the hobby, it's like I guess some people are just gonna have to stash like some 2024 product.
Well, I mean, this is what I'm thinking. Isn't that the play? I'm stashing. I mean, I've stashed a case of WNBA Prism, and I know it's still for sale. I know you could still buy it, but sealed case, and I'm buying them, I'm putting them away, right? And if I could find football at a reasonably priced, that I do that too, because come next year, that's what people are going to be wanting. They're going to know that's where the value are going to be in the breaks if you're breaking 2024 product, right? Or the 2024 draft class next year, because that's what people are going to be buying into. Just like we were doing in 2022 when we were getting 2020 and 2021 football, we were breaking more of that than the 2022 product because nobody really wanted to buy into it.
I agree. And I was kind of excited too, because I was like, oh, Travis Hunter is like really, he's unique. There's not really anyone that's been like him per se. So like he could be someone that could be a main chase, but now his autos are pulled out of it, and that's disappointing too. So it's just like, I was excited about that of like, oh, he could maybe prop up something a little extra than just a position player. You know what I mean? And then it's just like, where are we? It's just, yeah. I don't know why everyone can't just make everything with all the licensing and autos. Like, why can't we just do that? That would be amazing.
I'll just get along.
Throw exquisite all sports in there too. You know?
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest win for the hobby would be these two companies just coming together. Right. I mean, that, but I don't think we'd even see that for a couple of years.
Yeah, no. Nope.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm scouting the quarterbacks who are like 25 years old in this draft who might luck onto a team where they get to play, like Tyler Shuck and the like if he goes to the Saints, like I'll start buying like his cards.
Jackson Dart's supposed to be a first round guy, wild card, right? Like
Yeah.
somewhere.
One of my best friends, or one of my better friends' son was a wide receiver at Ole Miss this year. Jackson Dart. No, thank you.
All right.
No, thank you.
Inside scoop. Only here at Hobby Chat Podcast.
So he's not going to, even though they said they were all about it.
I don't know. Jackson Dart I don't know. Just doesn't seem to do it for me. But
He doesn't throw darts.
They lost. I don't like guys who can't win big games. You know why? You know my disdain for guys like Justin Herbert who have been losers their entire lives.
Yeah.
So
Jeez.
my hot takes on winning.
Yeah, hold up. Yeah, you don't like JJ McCarthy.
I don't.
All right.
Dude won one season ever thanks to a great defense and a hell of a running game.
But you are a big fan of the Colts and Anthony Richardson.
Nope, don't like him either. I'm a huge Colts fan. Don't like guys who can't win. Don't like my own quarterback.
Don't worry, you guys got Daniel Jones to save the day.
That's how I feel as a Colts fan going into this. Is I am rooting that Daniel Jones is my starting quarterback, which makes me a little sad. So
plot twist: the Colts take Jackson Dart. What is your move?
I'll not like Jackson Dart either.
Ugh.
I'll continue to dislike Chris Ballard.
Yeah.
I think the Colts are taking a tight end.
I hope
Warren.
Warren won't be available. It'll be the other. It'll be the other guy.
he won't be, but I would love the
Love him.
Colts to figure out how to take Tyler Warren.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that would be a great move for them. But
well, I was so upset last year that they didn't trade up to take Brock Bowers. Like that was he was within range, and that's all I wanted was because the roster's so I'm not getting on my Colts, but the roster's so freaking good not to have a quarterback. So it's fine. Fine. I'll continue to be sad.
Yeah. Well, we'll know what's going to happen. It's going to be an interesting night to see if there's some last minute trades, some trade ups early in that first round to see if anybody wants to take a shot. But I really don't think unless nobody's going to be trading up for a quarterback. There may be other players that they would trade for, but it definitely early in that first round, I don't think many people are going to be trading up.
It is a decent defensive draft. I will say that.
Yeah.
And it's running back loaded too.
Yeah, there's some really, really, really strong defensive players in this draft.
Defense, running back, tight end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably more important for fantasy football than the hobby, this draft.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, if you think from that perspective, even like a guy like McMillan, could be instant fantasy relevant, right?
Yep.
With ending up on the right team.
Yeah, and a bunch of the running backs, regardless of what round they go, because how running backs can just drop. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just.
Where's McMillan projected to go as the first wide receiver off the board?
Besides Hunter,
I'm not counting Hunter.
Yeah, no, that's.
I think if I want to remember, I think it was around 15 to 20 somewhere.
This I just looked up one. I looked up CBS Sports mock draft. They have him going 9th to the Saints.
Oh, that sounds really high. That's really high. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, because this also has Matthew Golden for going 12th to Dallas.
Does it have Genty on like 5th then? Yeah, well, no. I've heard Genty's supposed to just go higher than people expect.
This has Genty going 6 to the Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders are not going to take him. I think Genty's going to go to Chicago, and I think he'll be fantasy relevant right away if he goes to Chicago.
If he goes to the Raiders, I just feel bad for him.
Yeah, I mean it's like taking a Lamborghini. I told you this, taking a Lamborghini and driving it in a school zone. Right, they got no line to open up the holes to let them run through.
Yeah, but you got Captain Dump Off, Geno Smith. He's going to catch 125 passes.
The Raiders need a lot of help. I don't think the running back's going to help them.
Whatever they do, they need a lot.
And I think they beef up their line this year, and they look for a QB next year.
Yeah. Like I said, I really hope Warren falls. He's going to be instantly fantasy relevant, but especially if he falls.
But they're saying he's going to go to the Jets. Do you really think he's going to be fantasy relevant if he goes to the Jets? I think of all the places he could go, if he goes there, he's just going to not do well.
Stop hating on Justin Fields.
Why is Justin Fields going to dump the ball off to him when he's just going to run it himself?
He's reformed. A year in Pittsburgh. He's a new man.
Yeah.
All the Jets are going to win just to piss off Aaron Rodgers.
I've been hearing that for you. Jets fans have been hearing that for years. This is the year.
I'll take Justin Fields over with my roster as a Colts fan, please.
Yeah.
I'd love it.
I see McMillan in one mock going 18th to the Seahawks, which would be interesting.
Yeah.
I thought I saw him in the 15 to 18.
Could be all
15 to 20.
And then I see a late now this is something that I'm interested in and I think could work. Is in this mock it has Shedeur falling all the way to 21 at Pittsburgh. That could be something. I don't necessarily know how great Shedeur is or isn't, but I feel like a lot of these quarterback situations are a lot more based on supporting cast, at least at the very beginning, than just them.
Yeah,
my thoughts.
this has CBS Sports has Shedeur falling at the top of the second round
To where?
to the Giants, pick 32.
That'd be
Sorry,
wild.
no, sorry, last pick of the first round, 32. The Giants. But they have it as a mock trade with the Eagles. Sorry, I had to look at it again.
Interesting.
Gotta love all the mock drafts.
Yeah, I have a feeling there are going to be a decent bit of trades at this one too. We'll see. Was it Thursday night? So
Thursday night. Yeah.
this will air right after it's like
This
after the first
will
game.
drop Thursday morning. So if
Thursday,
you make a
Right.
prediction, they're gonna know if it's right or wrong. Either a hero or a zero.
All right, let's all try to. What's your guys' surprise pick in the draft?
Prize pick in the draft.
This makes for bad live radio.
Oh, no. Well, the problem is like the top of the draft. No, but like there's nobody who, like, unless the Giants really go like crazy and stretch at a quarterback at 3, like nobody's stretching for a QB in the top 10.
I'm saying the surprise is the quarterbacks are going to go much later than everybody anticipates. And I'll tell you right now, I know people the Giants need to win. I mean, that coach knows if I don't win games this year, I'm all done. Yeah. Him and the GM. So, I mean, even if they spend the money to go, or not spend the money, they spend the draft pick to take a quarterback, you're taking a shot on something that's probably going to lose you your job. Because you need instant gratification.
I can't imagine the Giants take a quarterback. I'd be shocked. Yeah.
I'm kind of with you here. Like I guess what I'm going to say is my bold prediction is that Cam Ward is the only first round quarterback.
Okay, I like that bold prediction.
Now,
go ahead, Ken.
I'm gonna go right past over you. And if you're talking first round. Ward, Shedeur, and Dart are all going in the first round. I'll tell you that much.
Wow.
I agree. And it's not a crazy hot take, but my prediction is that the Saints either stay at 9 and take Shedeur or Jackson Dart, or they trade up for one of them.
So that's an interesting one. But like, if you're the Saints, don't you just take the best player off the board? And if you're going to stretch for Shedeur, why wouldn't you just wait on a guy like Tyler Shuck or something like that you can get in the third round and it's the same player?
Because it's a poorly run franchise, Tyler.
I don't know if they'd say that. The Saints haven't been that bad a franchise. So, Ken, let me ask you the question then. Yep. If you think Shedeur and Jackson Dart are both going to go off in the first round, where are they going?
I think Dart will go to the Saints. And if he doesn't go to the Saints, he's going to go to the Steelers. And Agreed. If the Steelers don't take a quarterback, then they know they got Aaron Rodgers coming this year because the Steelers don't have a quarterback. I mean, They've got quarterbacks, but they've got nobody to play. So they're either taking a quarterback to throw in the fire, or they're not taking a quarterback and they're going to say, well, we have Aaron Rodgers coming and, we're just going to use him this year.
Right. So I guess that's kind of my point, right?
Any of those teams that are going to draft early that we're expecting to take them, and then they don't take them, I think they may gamble a little bit and say, let's wait to the end of the first round. If they're still there, then we'll trade up.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe we'll trade up something and grab them and then take a flyer on them. But let's not waste our early first round pick on a flyer.
Well, that's kind of my I guess where my brain is going, right? Like when I think about teams that could literally take a quarterback in the first round, and it's a weird draft because the way it falls at the top. Cam Ward's going to go 1. Maybe the Saints could be in the market for a quarterback. Maybe my Colts.
Colts are taking a tight end. They're going to take.
I agree.
They're probably going to end up with Loveland. But
But I'm just like I'm going through like the list of teams, and
Steelers.
the
They're there.
Steelers, and those are the 3 teams. There's only 3 teams
Other
that
than
would
the Titans.
what about the Jet- what about the Jets?
And if you're the Colts, I don't think you're taking it. So it's the Steelers and the Saints. The Saints is the only one that makes somewhat sense to me, because if I'm the Steelers, I can have Aaron Rodgers for this year, and I can draft again next year for a QB in a good class. Why would I ever take a QB?
If you have Aaron Rodgers, it's kind of the what I was saying earlier. Are you bad enough to draft a good QB?
I think that next year's class is deep enough that you can get a better QB no matter where you draft next year than you can at any point this year. That's where I guess my mindset is. So that's where, you may be 100% spot on that Dart and Sanders, but it's just a weird draft to me, I guess, in that sense that I just don't know how. It's weird. Like all the teams seemingly have their answers at quarterback.
I just think the quarterback position is so overvalued, or I don't know if it's overvalued. It's just valued so much that on draft night, these teams time and time again take that swing early and often.
I would
Historically. And I think everything you're saying is right and sound and logical, but I think at the end of the day, we got humans that are not rational in the moment. And I think that really is what happens.
Right. Like, the not rational behavior, though, usually happens at the top of the draft. And that's where I'm hung up, is like the top of the draft. Like all those teams, like 2 through 7 or 8, have their quarterbacks. It's weird. It's a little weird there. They like, I mean, when you think about like the Raiders went out and paid, Geno, Drake May and the Patriots, T-Law and the Jaguars. The Jets got Justin Fields.
Yeah, but is Justin Fields really their answer?
Pick 21,
I mean, nobody in this draft is a better answer. So what? You're going to take the best player off the board. I guess if you're the Jets, like I haven't seen any mock drafts that has them taking a QB.
Yeah, I haven't heard that either. I'd be surprised. I also think Justin Fields is good. I think by pick 21, Shedeur, Dart, and Ward are gone. That's what I think.
That's interesting. No, yeah.
I mean, with the Browns too, they might want to get a quarterback.
They could. They could.
I will say they could be the crazy wild card, but I just don't see how they're like in any world they don't take Travis Hunter.
Yeah. I think the best pick for them would be Carter. But like
I agree. I think he's the best player in the draft by it. Yeah. It's not close.
Yeah. So I just like it's crazy.
Like I think Abdul Carter is like leaps and bounds the best player in the draft. And he could fall to 3.
He's projected in a lot of them to go to 3. You're right. Travis Hunter is projected in like almost all of them at 2 to the Browns that I've seen right now. So we'll see. But like that's what I'm saying. I just feel like the quarterbacks get this like, they just get the hype, and then
it's the same, and it's the same with the hobby too.
Yeah. I mean, Penix was supposed to be a second rounder, and what was he, 8th or 9th last year?
Well, no, I don't think. But by the time we got to draft night, like everybody had him in the first round.
I don't remember it that way. I remember it being an absolute shock, especially because they had Kirk Cousins on top of it. But that's it. Like I think that all I'm saying about that is like anything is possible, and I would not like. I expect 3 quarterbacks to go before 21.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. That's all. That's my.
I guess again, that's why, like I said, now it's almost the draft is suddenly interesting to me because of this conversation. But it's kind of like the thing, right? Last year's draft really decides a lot for this draft because so many quarterbacks were taken. It has, just drastically cut down.
Yeah.
On the people that that are there. Yeah, like I just looked at like some mock drafts last year. Most people had Penix going 13 overall to the Raiders last year. That was like the last day before the mock drafts last year.
Yeah, and then they ended up taking Bowers, and
Yeah,
That's
because
fine.
Penix was off the
Penix
board
was
right
gone.
at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Penix was gone.
Yeah.
So
All right, let's move on. One thing we talked about on an earlier episode was about, a card being reholdered in a cracked case. So I just wanted to briefly talk about, I just got an order back last week from PSA, and this Jaden Daniels Fireworks Prism Green, I don't know if you can see that it came shattered. So I reached out to PSA and say, hey, this came back from you guys all busted up. And they sent me an email, and this may answer the question that we kind of left hanging on one of our earlier episodes, but it says, we approve you to send this back to be free, reholdered for free. And they are paying for shipping as well. And it said, please know that upon reholdering, the item with cert number will be reviewed to confirm it meets the current grade and has not been damaged due to the crack. If any damage to the item has occurred due to the condition of the holder, the item will receive a new grade based on its current condition, and compensation may be offered as outlined in PSA's terms and conditions. So one of the things we talked about was, if the case is cracked, then we ask to reholder it. Is the card regraded again? So here they're answering the question here, saying yes, this card will be evaluated to make sure it still meets the same standards to the grade that's on the outside of the card.
okay, at least they're going to take care of it.
Yeah. I was hoping. They said, oh, what was the dollar value that you said? The max insured value. Did you send it in on? I said $100. I was hoping they were just going to give me a credit because the card came back a 9, right? So it's like garbage right now comparatively to if it would have been a 10.
So the real question is, what happens if when they regrade it, it's a 10? Like the damage improved the flaw.
Yeah. Took a bend out of the corner.
that actually might be the most PSA thing ever.
Yeah.
If your previously graded 9 gets damaged and returns a 10, it'd make for a great episode. PSA, come through for us, please.
And one other thing I wanted to bring up that we discussed in an earlier episode. So I had a Ricky Pearsall Mirror Gold card out at PSA, and it came back that they weren't going to grade it. But the holder came back, so I thought they weren't grading this card because it didn't say about size. I thought that maybe it was fake, or I had bought this card, and I'd mentioned that maybe I got a fake, and we laughed about who would fake a Ricky Pearsall card, right? So, and now I see a lot of people saying the same thing, that these select Mirror Gold cards are being returned from PSA. So it's interesting that they don't say anything. They just send the card back to you. So I had to send them an email asking them, why didn't you grade this card? And they said to me,
I'm sorry, is it select or certified?
I'm sorry, certified.
Okay.
Certified 2024 Panini certified. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, it said, as for the reason why your 2024 Panini certified Ricky Pearsall Mirror Gold card was left ungraded, this was due to the operations team determining that they would not be able to process your item due to the possibility of damage occurring while in the encapsulation process. Please note that encapsulation was not attempted due to the liability reasons and will be sent back unprocessed. I sincerely apologize if this has caused any inconvenience. So I have a couple of these cards. In fact, on an order I just sent out, I had 2 that I pulled back out of that. So I guess there's something that they're afraid, or maybe they damaged cards trying to encapsulate them for whatever reason. And maybe the coating on the card, I'm not sure. But I know a lot of people, I see a lot of things posting up on Facebook, and I've been copying and pasting this in there to tell people, like they said, oh, these Mirror Gold cards are not being graded. So there's something something on the coating. I would imagine the heat when they're trying to encapsulate it, but I'm not sure.
So you think it's on the coating? It's not like it's just a slight bit small and they're worried about it sliding or something?
I don't know. If Erica, customer service representative, didn't go into any further detail.
Gotcha. So do you know if Beckett's grading them?
I do not.
They better just accept anything that people send to them at this point.
I mean, and that was kind of my question too. I mean, I don't even know if you guys or anybody knows the answer to this. Do they all have the same process of encapsulation? You know, I mean, did different companies encapsulate differently, or is it all based on you take these two things and heat them up and press them together?
Well, I think they use different. The plastics and the thickness of the plastics are clearly different, so I think that could probably change the outcome. Like, I mean, to be honest, I would probably ship it to, like, if you think it's grade worthy, clearly you did, you sent it to PSA, I would ship it to Beckett and just see if they'll grade it. Because I mean, worst case, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to send it back and say, we're not charging you for it. But it's a rare instance where if Beckett does grade it right, then a Beckett 9.5 would probably have the equivalent of a PSA 10 value or something along the lines.
Or a PSA 9.
Well, I mean, there's going to be no PSA, right? So it's going to be
just
whatever the best graded value is.
Yeah, there's going to be no PSA 10 to compare a price against, right?
Or not
grading them. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So at least we got through that.
Who are the two that you pulled out? Just out of curiosity.
On these cards, it was the Xavier Worthy and the Ricky Pearsall.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I was thinking there was a third one. Never mind. Surprised you don't have a Joe Milton, but that's just me.
You know what? Panini, in their Panini fashion, the closer we're getting to the National now, you know, I'm dreaming of white boxes of all the redemptions I have sitting there. And now all of a sudden it was like last week I got like 17 emails. Oh, your redemption is shipping. Your redemption is shipping. And all my Joe Miltons, the redemptions are shipping.
I mean, that's not bad though. Like, because
everything except for the Prism. The Prism no huddle, which is I have 6 of those sitting there, but all the I don't know, I can't even. Oh, I don't know. My mind's blank.
Grade them, get them graded and pack them for Dallas. Let's go.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask. Yeah,
well, that'll bring me to Dallas. That'll force me to take these cards to Dallas.
I'm in. We'll book tickets right. I'll book flights right now.
I was gonna say, like, what's your plan now with Milton? Because it's an interesting scenario you're in, and it's a good one.
Well, I have to be prepared. I have to be prepared. I have to be ready to go at a moment's notice, right? You know, like a bug out bag, because because you know my boy Dak is going down with a hamstring or a twisted ankle or something. He's
twisted ankle. That's one way to put it. It was facing backwards.
But you know what I'm saying. He's not going to make 5 straight games.
No. Yeah,
Joe Milton is going to go in and if he plays well one game, it's, you know, for sale. They're all for sale.
He's America's quarterback immediately. That's right.
Predicting the demise of Dakota Prescott.
And then it's going to be funny because all the Cowboy fans are going to be buying a quarterback in Patriots uniform.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
Yeah,
it's always interesting when that happens.
It's not a Giants uniform or an
Eagles I guess uniform. It could be worse. Yeah,
they would never do it.
That's. But then look at Saquon. You know, I'm sure some Eagles fans picked up some Giants Saquon stuff. You know, it's just so weird when that happens. The old teams and then the collectability. It's so strange.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't usually happen within a division rival, right?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy.
That was a very odd situation that they allowed that to happen.
Absolutely.
That's okay. Like I collect Peyton Manning and I refuse to own him in a Broncos jersey. So,
okay.
Yeah, principles.
That's what I'm saying. It's just It's always interesting. Like the collector side of that is like, what do? You know, like, yeah. Just strange.
But if you're a collector, like, I mean, it's not like it's your team, right? It's your player. You're collecting the player, and why do you care if he's got a Colts jersey on or a Broncos jersey on?
Because
I'm sure a lot of people collect a player because it's on their team, though.
yeah, for sure. Like I don't collect Peyton Manning because I liked him at Tennessee. I collect Peyton Manning because he was a Colt.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure that happens. all
So
the
you
time.
only collect him as a Colt. That's it.
Yeah, 100%.
No college, no Broncos, and
No.
and
No.
So
Yeah.
if Mahomes got traded to the Raiders, would you stash some Raiders Mahomes stuff?
why not?
Oh, as a Chiefs fan, they should throw stuff at you.
That's what I was just saying. That's why I was just bringing that. Like, yeah, like
Your
if
fellow Chiefs fans should go all Philadelphia, full Philadelphia
Come
on
on,
you.
that's so old school, you guys. Come on. I mean, if you're collecting a player, you're collecting a player. You don't care what team they go to.
Name on the
If that's your PC, if that's your player, you collect the player. And
Name
and
on the
I know the chat, the messaging on YouTube is going to be blown up about this. Like who does and who doesn't. But you know, the player is the player. You know what happens is, and what the nicest thing in sports that I see is, even if that player goes and plays for another team for a year or 2 years or whatever, and they want to retire, they can come back for a one-day contract to the team they spent most of their career with and retire. And I just think that's great that they allow that to happen.
Yeah, for sure, I agree there. But like like I'm just the wrong person here because I'm an Indiana college fan, which doesn't put your name on the back of a jersey because the name on the front means more than the name on the back. So, like, I subscribe to that.
Yo, Tyler, I'm with you. Yeah, no, let us know in the comments what you think, because yeah, I'm definitely on that with you, Tyler.
Who is your PC? Who is your player you collect?
The one guy I collect is Ted Williams. So if you want to make
What
fun
teams
of
did he play for?
the Red Sox and the U.S. Air Force. Yeah, what do you got to say to that, Ken?
So he spent he spent his whole career at one team. So
and then he took 3 years off, and he was a fighter pilot.
Yeah,
right?
but what I'm saying is, you never had to make that decision, going to another team.
So Jordan, you're a Red Sox fan, right?
Correct.
So you love Pedro.
Yeah.
So a buddy of mine has the sickest, majestic 101 patch of Pedro, and it's in a Mets uniform. No way in hell would you buy it in a Mets uniform, right? If that was your PC.
No. If I collected Pedro, no.
Yeah.
No. It's also like with Tatum, if he ever got traded from the Celtics, I wouldn't. I mean, that's another thing. It's like it's Celtics guys like would never really do that. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll wait to get bashed in the comments.
It's so funny because Ken's taking from an age perspective, you're taking the opposite end of this argument that you probably should take, and Jordan and I are on the other side. So,
well, that's one of the things. This works out well, right? I mean, we got 3 generations right here.
Yeah.
So we're all going to think differently, and that's one of the best parts of coming together on any subject. I mean, we're going to agree on things and we're going to disagree on things. No.
I apologize. And see, this is why I have to check myself, because I would have been crazy.
You pay for somebody else.
No. Williams joined the Navy Reserve in 1942 and was commissioned a second lieutenant in the Marine Corps as a naval aviator, where he served as a pilot. And 39 combat missions in Korea.
Yeah.
I just assumed that he's a pilot, Air Force. Not the case. So I just had to check myself on that before I get checked by someone. So
39 combat missions, won the Triple Crown, hit 400, and now guys need a day off because they're tired.
And he's getting crap from Ken about if he should be collectible or not. Classic Ken.
He's not getting any crap from me. He's a hero in my eyes.
Oh, that's funny.
Because he stayed on the Red Sox, right?
Because he risked his life for our country.
I mean, he has such a great. Another quick Ted Williams story. When he was growing up, he was in San Diego, and he lived on the border between a very large competitive like high school and then a smaller high school, and he chose to go to the smaller high school because he wasn't sure if he would play, like if he would start. So he went to the smaller high school so he could for sure play in high school. One of the best.
I'll tell you what,
my favorite hitter of all time.
better off being a big fish in a little pond than a little fish in a big pond.
Yeah. He ended up being a shark though. So
there you go. All right, Tyler, you want to talk about the fake Ricky Henderson?
It's not near as fun now. I'm still going to talk about it to call it out because it's just a good lesson. But it was going to be so much more fun if the auction was live.
it's a sports cards lesson on a podcast. Sports card. Oh, okay.
So I'll share my screen. It's not a really good.
You know what? I never thought about that. I never changed this to the hobby chop. As you said that, I've started reading it.
So it's just interesting thing here, right? So let's just do. So let me share my screen, and let's see how well this does because I've never shared this. Let's do the entire screen. Okay. So everybody can see my screen here. So this card came up on eBay last week for sale. PSA 10 Ricky Henderson. The auction's down, but this is a snapshot at the time of what the auction was up. You know, nothing. You glance at the auction. Awesome, an amazing, awesome card is up for sale. It's a huge card. The last sale on this card is about 140K. The Pop 26. But a friend of ours, shout out to Rich Littlebug Cards, sends this to our group chat. When did he send it? Sunday? I think it was late Sunday evening, Ken.
Yep.
And he said, everybody just take a look at it. And so, you know, you look at it and you see the cert number up there. And what's interesting, right, is cert number. I'll slide this over. And you'll see the same cert number, and it is a Pop 1 Ricky Henderson PSA 10 rookie card with an auto 10. So clearly it's a fake. Rich sent a message off to eBay. They responded with, they didn't find an issue with the auction. Rich sent it out to a few more people, got some traction on Instagram, and then I know Rich and I both sent messages to the seller just to try to get a little clarification, and I didn't get a response. I haven't asked Rich if he ever got one, but the auction is taken down. So just an interesting situation because this is a crazy good copy and paste and crop job, first of all. So give the guy who's trying to steal some credit here. He did an amazing job. But
Mr. or Mrs. No feedback on eBay.
Yeah,
He's a good crook.
Yeah, very, very. Rich and I spent a solid 15-20 minute conversation on how good this fake label was on Sunday night or Monday night. But anyway, just a good overall lesson of, always don't take everything for face value. Because I wish I could show it, but if you opened this auction, the PSA data popped up and everything checked out. You could click on it, but it would take you to this. So it was just very interesting that this happened because it's such a massive card, and I'm glad it got taken down and nobody actually had to pay and go through the pain of doing it. But just be vigilant when you're even buying on eBay. I still don't understand the angle of the fake, which is really even probably the most complex piece of this whole thing. Is the card would have had to go through authenticity. So I don't know how anybody would have ever actually made money off the card, but
Well, you would have had to pay for it first, and I bet you would have been somewhere in the payment scam. Then long before that card, the card would have never. There was no card to send, so a card's never going to show it to be authenticated. So
I got a question for you. I just have a theory on this now. Actually,
yeah,
it's an extremely hard card to gem, which would be an understatement.
yes.
Do you think that scan was actually a real scan first, and then like when Michael Jordan did the signing and they had PSA like on premises watching for the auto, they cracked the 10s and then he did his auto, then they immediately made him a 10 again? You think that could have happened with this card? Like it was a 10, that's the scan of the 10, they kept the same cert number and then just put the auto on it? Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I
Because they would keep, it's the same card, so they'd keep the same cert.
yeah, but I think that one was a PSA 10, like a gem, like a card gemmed, and the real one is just saying that it's authenticated with an auto 10, right?
No,
it's
the other one is a true 10
It's also
too
a
with
10.
an auto 10.
Oh, okay.
But
All right.
so I mean, if you looked at the I don't because the auto would have to have happened after this card. So
That's what I'm saying. Someone could have had the 10, then like done, because that's what happened with the Jordan.
Oh, you're saying this could have been a previous, like they just stole this scan that wasn't a good crop job?
Like the PSA 10 was a non-auto 10 at first, and then someone had the 10, like did what they did with the PSA 10 Jordans that they got autographed. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, but still, it's still an old scan at that point that they're using to try to rip somebody off.
The 5s were in COVID, I thought.
No, I'm just talking about this. Yeah, probably. But I'm just so that's what I'm saying, that if this was an older, they're still using an old scan to rip somebody off.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is I think that scan was the old scan of that
Oh,
card.
it could be. I'd have to.
It was just a theory. I was just like, because I'm thinking of like you're saying how good the Photoshop was, and then I was like, how could it even happen? I know not that it was a scam with the Jordan, that was all legit, but like that was kind of my thought process of, hey, maybe that's what happened with this and how they have this image too.
Yeah, the real interesting piece to me is how anybody would have possibly made any money, because again, it had to go to authenticity, and the card would have been paid for before it went to authenticity, like you said, Ken. But the seller couldn't have got the money. The money would have been held by eBay because they are a zero feedback seller.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
So, like where you sell something, it's available immediately, but you have a history.
Oh, okay.
They would have never had an option to get the money immediately.
Unless they were basing the fact on the person that Zwiddlebug Cards message through eBay was also the same person who's going to authenticate it, who didn't see anything wrong with it.
Because I spent some, like, I don't have the auction to show, but the only theory like I came up with at first, and we won't spend any more time on this, but there was 2 other pictures in there of a non-graded, the back of a card was non-graded, and it clearly had some issues. And if you actually looked at the revision history of the auction, which is something you can do on eBay, they had removed other photos, and the cert number was not listed in the item description, and PSA 10 was not in the title of the auction or in the paragraph description. So my thought was maybe they were just trying to show a picture of a PSA 10, and when it went to send it off, we're going to say, we didn't advertise a PSA 10. We advertised a Ricky Henderson 1980 Topps rookie card. Like maybe that was the angle, but it still would have been far-fetched in my brain.
Yeah.
So I was just more fascinated by how they thought they were going to possibly make money versus the actual fake itself, because it would have never.
You know what? On a card that big too, if somebody was really interested, maybe you reach out to them and say, hey, I'm interested in the card. Can we get this deal done off of eBay?
Can we fly somewhere to meet? Like,
sure.
right? Like a card way smaller than that, I'm flying for, right? Like,
well, like the last copy of it, like I went back.
Yeah.
When I went down this rabbit hole with Rich, the last copy of this card that actually sold on eBay was like in 2021. Every copy since then has sold at a
auction house,
right? That's and you just don't. This type of card isn't going to just be ending at 9 p.m. on a Wednesday night, because that's when it was scheduled to end.
The pop one, yeah, I know, yeah.
So it's a pop 26, $140,000 card just casually ending at 9 p.m. on a Wednesday night.
Imagine what the actual cert number would do, like with the 1010 auto would.
It's probably $1 million card.
Should be.
Yeah, like I mean, it really is. It's a 7-figure card, probably. Like, so it's crazy. But I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's not near as fun now with it being a closed out auction and nobody's getting hurt. But just always, take a look. Make sure you, even on eBay, it's trusted. Just
do your due diligence.
Do your due diligence.
6-figure card, 0 feedback. Usually, that doesn't really.
It's too good to be true.
Zips all in.
I'm all in.
All right, let's move on. So we talked previous episode about optic release, and I think we just want to touch a little bit on downtowns, uptowns that's coming out of this product. And fellas, I put a little trivia together for you. I hope you didn't go researching it, but in 2018 and 2019, the downtowns, the checklist, there were 20 players with downtowns in 2018 and 2019. 2020, how many players?
In 2020, how many total downtown players?
In optic?
Tyler, you're probably gonna know better than me, so I'll go first since you literally are like a downtown encyclopedia. So I will guess 35.
In optic, right?
Yep.
Wait, did these count as variants of the same player too? Like if they're in
no, just the downtown insert. How many players have a downtown?
Okay, 30. I'll stick with 35.
I think it's 30, right? Close to 30.
2020 was 40.
Oh, okay,
so that's me. That's a win.
Yeah. So and that's pretty common to what the number is moving forward, right?
Well, it's like 50 now.
So
in
2021, it was also 40. How about 2022?
45.
Trying to think of some of the weird there's some weird 2022 ones. 52.
30.
Oh, wow. So it went back. Okay.
It actually went down.
Wow.
2023.
Down. I feel like there's a ton in 2023. You know what? I'm just taking a shot in the dark. 35 again.
Tyler?
Yeah, but I would say this is where I'm going to get closer. It's going to get 45. I'm going to guess 45.
Way off. 20. It went down to 20 in 2023. Now, 2024.
There's a ton because you have.
There's like 50.
Are you counting the duos or are you just doing.
Oh, I didn't even think of the duos, Tyler. I just thought of the legends and the regular.
Well, I mean, if you include the duos, isn't it like 10 or 15 duos and there's like close to 20 legends and then
it's like 30 normal. It's got to be like 65.
Yeah, total all in, it's probably gonna be close to 60.
75.
Oh my gosh.
So
they're so rare, guys. They're so
25,
rare.
25 downtowns, 15 duos, 10 legends, and 25 uptowns.
Wow.
There was only 20 and 23. That's crazy. Am I just being an idiot in my brain? I'm more baffled at that than I am the 75.
Yeah, and what do you guys think of the uptowns?
Well, since I pulled the Caleb Williams today, I think they're awesome, and everybody should go out and buy one. And I have one for sale. But I think you could just tell by the population counts on these that, and this was my thought today, and you guys can correct me. I'm probably wrong, but this is the way my brain works, is that Panini's over producing these cards. So they had to come up with more more inserts to fill these boxes because there just wasn't enough when they're standard in previous years. That's why we've got up to 75 of these versus the 20, 30, and 40 from previous years.
They're printing. They're printing a lot.
And I mean, maybe last year in the Optic, when they said they quote unquote made a mistake and all those downtowns were coming out in those, what were they, the FOTL boxes?
Yeah, first, yeah, yep.
The first off the line boxes, and everybody was going crazy for it. Maybe they're like, oh, let's just put extra things in there. Because I can't imagine the Uptowns are a case hit. I just can't imagine, because I got 6 blasters. I pulled one out. Talking to somebody else who got 6 blasters yesterday, they pulled one out. Online, 2 other people said, oh, I got 3 blasters. Oh, I got 2 blasters. And everybody's showing the Uptowns. So I can't imagine they're a case hit.
Yeah, I can't either. I think it's a crashable market. And just so, Ken, you don't get somebody doesn't say it in the chat, I think it's 50 downtowns and 25 uptowns, right? It's not 75 downtowns. I just looked at the checklist.
No. 75 total, right?
25, okay, 75 total.
25 downtowns, 25 uptowns, 10 legends, and 15 duos.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was protecting my partner here in the
Thanks, I appreciate it. Looking after me.
That's why I said first off the line, because someone cried about us saying FOTL before too. So because it's the same amount of syllables, I think they said.
Well, and it's not I think I mentioned this on another podcast with the downtowns. It's just nuts in general, right? Because in Donruss, typically there was never a numbered downtown, right? Yeah. This was the first year they ever did a numbered downtown in Donruss.
What year?
This year. So
no, there was the one of one.
No, so in 2023 didn't have numbered downtowns in Donruss. Only in Optic.
In Donruss, got you.
In Donruss, not Optic.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
all
so this year in Donruss, they released the gold out of 10, and then they had the one of one as well in the Donruss copy, and that's not something they've traditionally done in the past. And they did the duos in Donruss as well. So,
and are those hobby exclusives? Do you know those the gold number to 10? Are those Can you get those?
I feel like I heard of somebody hitting one out of the one of one. Jaden Daniels got hit out of a blaster.
Wow, I know for Optic, they have the white Pandoras at a 25 for retail, right?
That's only in the Uptowns.
Uptowns, okay.
That's only in the Uptowns.
I think since we know how popular all these case hits are, and I've said before, and I know a ton of people said this too, is like, imagine if they numbered them, how not popular they would be. Which makes me think the numbered ones should be really popular then. Like I know they have quite a premium. I think they should have even more of a premium if you're really thinking about the popularity and value of the non-numbered one.
For sure. You would think they would even, and they do they get a nice premium, but it's not as
what you would expect. Yeah.
Like Ken, when you and I were in Atlanta, I picked up that Josh Allen Black Pandora, right? And it's still in the $1,500 range.
That's crazy.
Even in a PSA 9, right? And where the PSA 10 of the one that's printed to hell and back is worth $1,000.
Yeah,
but
that's crazy.
PSA 9 out of 25 is only worth $500 more. So it's
I actually saw something on the white Pandora Uptowns I wanted to run by you guys. So on Marketplace, one of local to me, Bo Nix white Pandora Uptown popped up for $4,000. And I was like, I wonder if that's a good price or not. Sure enough, a Bo Nix did $4,000 on eBay. And then 2 days later, a Caleb did $3,000. So I'm like, what's the Bo Nix worth if the Caleb did 3? And it's just it's I know the direct is 4, but it's just so unstable. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, the 24, Jordan, you mentioned, obviously I dabble in the downtown market at a pretty crazy clip.
Yeah.
But the 2024 market for downtowns and kabooms is so wild that in how crazily different prices that you get between the same raw copy a day apart, right? Like I'll use the Josh Allen in 2024 because Ken happened to pull one. We were talking about the price, and there's literally in a 3-day period, there's comps in the mid fours all the way to the mid sixes. And if you're trying to buy that card, like it's almost impossible. So, for the longest time, I pretty much unless it's the rookies, I've tried to not even touch the 2024 downtowns because I'm just it's so you either go one, two things, you'll crush it the next day or you'll get smoked the next day.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot in between, and I just not trying to gamble that much on them.
Yeah.
So,
And that's why I don't even want to send them for grading. Right. I mean, the grading, the gem rates are pretty low on those cards, number one. And number two, I mean, especially like the Uptowns, you have no idea. I could send this out to grading and come back in 3 months. It could be worth next to nothing compared to, to where it is right now. So,
and to be honest with you, like I haven't even dove into the Uptown pricing to see, what they've fallen off, but I did just looking at it. I just did Bo Nix Uptown really quickly. April 13th was the first time one sold, and there was a weird best offer $650, and then it sold for like $1,225, $1,200, $1,000. Immediately the next day, the price is down closer to $900 to $1,000, and getting all the way till on the 21st. 500, 455, 450, 500, 493. So the market's already starting to.
Which I mean, I would have to think that's probably where they're going to settle in, maybe around the downtown prices, in that $300 to $500 range.
Yeah, for a period of time. Listen, and it's all going to depend on does the repack market prop up the Uptown, right? Because let's be honest, the only reason the downtowns have the prices they have today is the repack market props it up,
paying strong,
and create the floor. So like if when you're jumping in a break on Whatnot or wherever, if you don't start to see Uptown repacks start to pop up, then the floor of those Uptowns is going to continue to go before it settles, because nobody's buying them as a collect piece. They may look like what downtowns looked at the beginning of 2024, late 23, because you could still buy $180 downtown.
Yeah, and by design, I actually prefer like there's the other case at the Rookie and Sunday Kings. I prefer how that looks over the Uptown. Probably blasphemy, but just me. Like, I just think the Uptowns could have been so much better. So
yeah. The one thing I will give them Panini a little bit of credit for is, at least with the downtown and Optic, they got rid of their AI pictures and they went back to artwork.
Yeah.
So at least they listened to the public there and made a little bit of a correction.
I just wish the Uptown, the column of like the setting in the back, I wish that was like a backlight, like the whole card was like full art, almost like the Pokemon full art stuff. I almost wish they did that with like the Uptown. I think that'd be cool.
It is a kind of a weird design. Like, a lot of the card is a wasted space, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Just a lot of shiny,
which makes it harder to grade.
Yeah. Yeah. I got one sitting right here if you want to see it.
I'll pass.
All right, let's move on to our questions.
Alrighty. Let's we only got 4 tonight. So we have from Michael Virali.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. With the rise of Bowman U card values, do you think it will have an effect on older pre-professional cards?
No. I think they're one in the. I don't think there's a correlation
for the pre.
Simple.
Like, yeah. Do you think going forward they'll have an effect on values in Bowman?
I think it could be right. Well, I think we discussed this last
Yeah.
week, right?
Yep.
I think there's an opportunity. I think how Fanatics chooses to treat Bowman U will make this decision, and it really just comes down to that.
Do you agree with me that they should go to more of the true color patterns of baseball Bowman?
If they're going to try
If
to
they're
make
gonna do it?
Bowman U a
Yeah.
core product from a collector standpoint, yes, they should follow that pattern.
Yeah, and I think they have. I think they have already. I think if you looked at what was breaking on Whatnot and what was being sold and being sold out, the hobby box cases being sold out, and I think there's enough interest in that people really like this product.
Yep. And so
If
for
the quality
Michael,
control could just be a little better.
a lot better. A lot better. For Michael, so I don't think the older pre-professional cards will, but I do think going forward, it'll provide more prospecting, and I think it's more prevalent right now, obviously in women's college basketball, but I think the prospecting, like how big it is for baseball, it's nowhere near that. But for football, for college football, it seems to have more traction than men's basketball. That's for sure. And I think going forward, to make Bowman U have an even bigger effect, they need to figure out when to release it.
Yeah, I think that's the bit that's right there. Besides getting the quality control under control,
This set would have been massive, Ken.
Yeah, and the year before, I mean, and going back 2 years, they released that at good times. This year it was so late that if they could have released this at least 2 months before the NCAA tournament, I mean, it would have been this massive buildup with these cards. But the selling window was so short because they dropped the product and we were already in the tournament.
Yep.
Hey, before we move on to the last question, I do want to say one quick thing further about the optic on the downtown. Is I'm going to give Panini a bunch of hell for being really lazy, that they didn't do lasers in the optic downtowns, and literally it's just a logo change. Like the Donruss and the optic are the same card. It just one says Donruss and one says optic.
Yep.
I personally prefer without the lasers. I may be lame, but
I hear you. Like I see that, but then I'm like, why are we having it in both products? It's the same card.
And it was easier to separate each one. Like you knew just by when you walked up and looked into a case, you knew what was optic with the lasers versus
logistically for comping. Yeah, that's way more difficult. You're right.
It's going to be a night. Like there's going to be a lot of missed listings. What is my prediction on that? But anyway, back to questions. Sorry.
No. Thank you for that. Next one we have from our man Howard. So guys, I'm just gonna reword this a little bit from how it's message, but Howard, he has some good luck, guys.
Fuck this man alive.
Yeah.
When it comes to ripping stuff, I'm no longer ripping product. I'm shipping it to Howard to rip on my behalf. Shout out
Howard or Sherry.
Yeah.
Either one. But from Howard, after pulling the 1/1 Blake Corum, and he left out Shield out of an optic blaster box, gold vinyl, right?
Yes.
Gold vinyl Shield 1/1 Blake Corum, right? That's correct. Okay. He says sell ASAP or grade first? ? I have no problem with the grading process except speed, cost, etc. But do you grade the 1/1, have it slabbed authentic, or just sell raw? Who would do what?
Well, it really depends on what Howard wants to do with that card and how he wants to proceed to sell it. I would probably imagine Howard is going to reach out to his friend Tyler, and that's probably going to get sold somewhere through a Discord down the line, and he's not going to have to worry about it. But if Howard wanted to put this on eBay or something like that, I would suggest grading the card, because this way, I've I've had a couple one of ones that I sold one on eBay and it was returned for the most ridiculous thing after authentication that there was a dimple on it. So if he wants to avoid those problems, maybe grade that card. But again, it's a one of one, right? Nobody really cares what the grade is on it. I don't think. I think if it gems, right, it increases the value. But if it doesn't decrease the value because it's still a 101 shield.
So I think where I would go on this is because I think it's a little extra difficult because it's a non-auto, right? It's just the shield patch. I would get it up for auction ASAP, and the reason I just think it's sort of because it's a non-auto, it's a extra tough card to deal with without the auto, and I guess I'll use a little bit of past experience from last year's Optic product. So I ripped a case of blasters early on when they first came out, and I pulled out of a blaster a Zay Flowers gold out of 10 patch out of a blaster, and I tried to play more of a holding game, get it graded. I sided up with Beckett, and I cost myself a ton of money because I would have been there were no sales, so I could have been truly first to market, and I would have got a number that would have been probably 3, 4, 5x what I ended up selling that card for. Like I ended up selling that card for well under $100, and that's a card that would have probably brought a couple hundred being first to market. And I was just kind of dabbling, looking at Blake Corum 101s. My answer is to get it up on eBay as fast as possible.
I probably have 15 Blake Corum autos that have come out of, every time I think I pull an auto out of a box, it seems to be his. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's also like you pull. I just think you pull it from a blaster. Who really cares what you do? You're gonna be fine. Like either way. And it also differently from the gold, Tyler, is it's the one of one shield. So
Sure.
like
But I don't think anybody's hunting. I guess I'll say this. I'll equate it to what I think is a similar comparison would be a select RPA. It's a card that doesn't get equal respect with other premium product RPAs, even back with when Select was hobby only. And it's because it's a smaller patch, it's not a big patch, and people just don't chase it from an RPA or a patch perspective. And I would say you have a little bit of the same thing in Optic, right? So I guess that's another piece that I would put to my answer on that. But I get your point about it being a shield and a 101, right? Those are really awesome selling points, but which is again why I would get it. I think I would get it to market quickly.
Yeah, I would just say if you think it's gonna do 9 or better, I would just grade it basically to avoid any issues like Ken talked about. And someone may want it more in a slab. You never know. It's not like it's gonna detract.
Yeah.
So unless it's a terrible grade, and then you just crack it out and sell it anyways. So that's what I would do. But yeah, either way, it's also like I don't know. It's a shield, so like I don't feel like maybe I'm crazy. I just don't feel like there's like crazy urgency. I mean, until like just the season, I guess. Like,
well, I guess let me ask this question posed back to both of you about this type of card because I think it's valid here. So Blake Corum, most likely not going to be the starter, going to get a limited number of reps. So you're not going to have any preseason hype on Corum or anything going into the season. Do you think you would gain an advantage now because there is early hype on Optic as a product, regardless of the player, plug and play a player name, but one who has no chance at a preseason hype train? Would you try to use the product as a way to capitalize on hype?
Like Optic releasing, you mean?
Right, Optic releasing, right? It's an early Optic sell because the player is not somebody who's going to have probably, any fanfare.
Yeah, right now he doesn't have any upside. So it's
Right.
not like people. So really, who are you going to sell that to? You're going to sell it to a Blake Corum collector, right? Or his mother or his sister. You know what I'm saying? It really is what it comes down to.
Or
Um,
someone who's a fan of Michigan winning a national title.
Yeah, or essentially a repacker who's buying on eBay who
True.
wants to put a gold vinyl 1-of-1 out of Optic because it's a brand new product.
Yeah.
I guess that's my way of thinking. I don't think there's any right or wrong answer here.
No, absolutely. And also, I just looked. If you were a backup to someone who is 5'9" and 208 pounds, do you think
Backup-
you may get playing time?
back up to a
Kyron
bowling
Williams is
ball.
the most underrated running back in the league.
Not saying he's not great. Just like 5'9", 208, running against some big
That's a good
big
running
people.
back size.
5'9", 208. I thought it was supposed to be like 5'10", 225. I thought that's like this. That's
No.
like the No.
All kinds of solid running
5'10", 220 is like the. But okay.
But look.
Right.
Let me just say this quick. If it was my
I don't know what I'm
card,
talking about.
if it was my card, I would probably rush it off to grade, and I would probably court it around the national, right? I'd probably try to figure out a good number, and then bring it to the national and see if I could get it. If I couldn't get it, I'd probably wait till the season started and hope that the person in front of him, for whatever reason, needed to miss a few games, and possibly he could come in and make and play and build that card up a little more. But I don't think it'd be a card that would be a crazy fast sale. I think you really have to find the right buyer and putting it into the hands of an auction house that probably could, find those buyers for you.
Yeah. Ashton Genty, Emmitt Smith, same size as Kyron Williams.
I'm going off of like prospect profile, and everything I'm seeing is confirming for me, so that's fine. That's fine. Anyways, that's like what's Will Campbell has got the 33.5-inch arm instead of 34.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm just saying, like I know the numbers are it's like 220 and 5'10" or 6 foot. I'm not saying that also Barry Sanders was amazing. I'm just saying like prospect profiling. Homer Sports Cards on IG. Question for each of you to answer. Putting aside eBay and whatnot and Facebook Marketplace, what is your next favorite app to purchase singles from? Probably Discord. It's probably not even close. Yeah.
I think that's my out answer, but I think it's
the realistic answer.
It is. I agree. It's the realistic answer, but I think that's probably he's probably trying to. I'm assuming he's wanting like another auction, another place that has auctions or something like that.
Don't always get what you want. Sometimes you get some good information though.
Yeah, Discord's solid, but you get that there comes you gotta you have to subscribe to the really good ones.
Yep.
So I'll answer with I've started to kind of like alt. I've with alt auctions, I've on some nicer cards, I've found some interesting good deals there. At times I think what happens in a place like alt is the really big cards get all of the fanfare and people are looking there for those cards and maybe not looking at some smaller mid-range cards. And my slabs, I guess, would probably be something else I would throw out there.
My slabs is sneaky.
Yeah.
I did a lot with PWCC till it wasn't fun there anymore. And I know they're over to Fanatics now. And I recently went back over there and favorited some stuff and kept an eye on it. But I still think some of the stuff I'm looking for is selling for more than what I could get it if I went and found it at a show or somewhere else. I always talk about, I love the in-person stuff. Like I do buy on eBay, but mostly I buy for my own PC, or if I'm buying something that is a longer term hold for down the road. So I really enjoy just being able to buy stuff in person. I mean, I'll hit those auction houses, but I'd really I like shows, just dealing with people in person.
Yeah, in person's my favorite. Like, especially if you can like create relationships where like you have like ongoing like buying, selling, I think that's the best to any capacity. So that's last question here. Greg Yazzo. I will not have an answer to this. With WrestleMania this past weekend, just curious if you guys dabble in the wrestling card market. WWE Topps Chrome was hot first year back with license. They announced they are doing a WWE debut patch and also WrestleMania patch 101 chases. Thoughts?
I've tried to dabble a couple of times, not very successfully. In this market, I do know that if you can find the people who buy it, it can be fairly lucrative because you don't play as much of the comp game with these cards, from my understanding, on a lot of people who have done well in this market. But I think it's one of those still niche markets that if you have it, people know you have it and they come to you, right? I would equate it to Ken with the women's basketball stuff, right? People come to him looking for those cards. I had some really great autos in my case when we were in Culture Collision, and nobody looked at them because I don't think anybody was looking at me for that type of card. So
I was in that lane, and Zip, you and I have talked about this, the different lanes that I've been in, and that was one of them. And one of the downfalls of being in wrestling is that there's a big hype coming up to WrestleMania, which happens a couple times a year. And you'll sell a bunch of cards and people will be all talking about it, and afterwards talking about what happened. And then there's just a big drop off, right? And then wait a long time until either something happens in wrestling or there's another WrestleMania coming. So the market just wasn't solid enough for me to stay in. But I do have to say, I've met some great people that are in the wrestling lane who really enjoy that. And when I go to shows, I like wrestling. I love to go around and look at them and check them out. And I do catch, I do watch some things on TV with it. So I have to send a shout out to my guy, Wrestling Card Wizard. And if you don't know him, follow him. But he goes to the card shows. He does all wrestling, but he just does card tricks. He does card tricks. Follow him on Instagram, and you'll watch him. You'll watch him perform at shows. He's really good at what he does.
That's cool. Cool. Yeah, I guess whenever I see the wrestling cards, I would just I don't know any of the new superstars. I just think back to when I was watching it as a kid, and sometimes those bring some nostalgia to where I would maybe buy one. But I feel like to be in it, you probably have to be watching it, and then we would have to get our hands on the script, and then we could know. You know what I mean? We'd be golden. So. But yeah, I don't have anything too constructive or knowledgeable to say about it, honestly.
I'll walk over to headquarters on lunch tomorrow and see if I can get
nice
for you.
Go in there in some nice spandex.
Yeah, I'm right next door, so
that's pretty cool. Well, there we go. We have our in there, Greg. Tyler's gonna get on it for you. Get the inside scoop.
All right, look, another great episode. Next week, if you're still here with us after an hour and 23 minutes, next week, I'm not doing a Sunday episode, but we're recording early. So this episode, the Hobby Chop, is going to drop early next week. It'll just be one episode next week. So look for that to drop early. Keep the questions coming. And again, when you message a question, if you're interested in being on the Hobby Spotlight and jumping on the live, send me a message and we'll try to work it out. I know it's not easy, but we'll certainly try to work it out. Anything else, fellas, before I close? No. Good. All right. Well, we'll be excited to watch the draft Thursday and see see what happens, and definitely we can talk a little bit about that next week.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
Sure.
All right. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And hey, look, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and you'll know whenever we're dropping new content and when we're dropping it early. And that's it. That's all I got. Thanks, fellas.
Thanks, guys.
Alrighty.
We'll talk soon.